I'm very happy to have on the show Dracattus, the developer of the game, the NFT game that first started on ETH. So back on November 11th, the project was first launched. They started minting on ETH, decided that ETH wasn't the right place to be, and moved to Chia at some point. I can't remember the exact date, but happy to have this project here. It's been cooking since 2022 and getting very close. So, Jeff, you're here to give us an update. So, what's going on with Drac these days?
Hey, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, today's the anniversary, so we thought it's a good time to roll out the progress of where we are, some new features, some new assets. We've got an entire new back-end administration system. We've got a Chrome browser extension now. We've got a lot of tools that are coming together, and they're starting to allow the lore and the gaming mechanics to make a little more sense for the community. So we're kind of at a point at this 3-year where it's appropriate to show people some of the new stuff that is coming and give them a progress update and talk about what's coming ahead. So yeah, today's just a 3-year anniversary. Celebrate with some giveaways and some nerdy talk online and show people some features and actually start playing the mechanics of it a little bit.
So I've been following this project for a while. You and I have been discussing how Chia could be integrated, what kind of battle system you're going to have. Are we at the point where we've got battle, or is that still an upcoming?
So I have battle mechanics, but it's not on chain, and so it's just really kind of pointless. You know, it doesn't have that real world loss, that kitchen sink that we've talked about so many times. But with Chia Gaming and all the great work that Mr. Dennis is doing, I've been following, and I've been working with the Chia Gaming stuff. It's still an alpha. But yeah, we're getting to the point where now we're starting to cross over into, okay, let's get this functioning with the mechanics that are going to be the eventual end game kind of mechanics. So right now we're working on the centralized side where, you can battle and you can kill a Drac, say, but ultimately it's just on the centralized side. There's no real loss. So we've got to do some Chia Lisp, which I've talked to a couple of the devs, Lucky 8 being one of them, about what's needed to modify the Chia gaming system and the Chia Lisp to accommodate basically how Drax battling works versus how a poker game might play out, right? So we're getting really close. We're into the realms of working with that system now. So
but you haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Dennis. Your Spanish isn't up to snuff.
No, Mr. Dennis and I have chatted through text, and he helped me actually with a bunch of bugs and stuff I had with even integrating Sage. He's also an Angular dev. So I like to talk to Mr. Dennis when I can, because we talk the same language on the front when dealing with the wallets and all that kind of stuff. So Sage was a bit of a bug for me, but he helped me through that, and he's kind of graciously giving me answering my questions when it comes to trying to figure out this Chia gaming stuff. So
yeah. Well, and it's my understanding that Chia Gaming is ideal for something that would be PvP. If you have one person playing against another person, player versus player style. So is that where you're intending to take the battle, or is that just going to be another aspect of battling? Because I had anticipated that you were going to have more of a story mode battle, but you're planning on having it be more PvP.
So it's going to be a bunch of mini games. Is essentially. Let me move over.
And you're showing us the game right now. So the Dracattus takes place in an alternate world, which is the actual world.
Yeah. So the way
this is a continent that doesn't exist, by the way, for people that are looking at.
Yeah, and there's no reason to have snow in the middle of the Mediterranean. It kind of doesn't make sense in some ways. So Dracattus.
No, that's where Atlantis was. I'm pretty sure. I was watching Ancient Apocalypse. That's exactly where Atlantis used to be.
Brad talks about that, actually, about this being where Atlantis is. And my folks and I went on a beautiful cruise with my brother and them right through these waters, and I didn't even realize it until I got home, and I was like, oh my god, like. I went right through the Isle of Seven Cities. But yeah, this is where the fictitious world starts, and then there's the actual globe. So we kind of joke that our map is the biggest gaming map in the world, because it is the world. There's reasons for that, but to answer your questions about, say, battle mechanics right quick. This is just early dev, but I'll show you kind of where we are. So the idea being,
wait, are you gonna bring any of the real world conflict in? So should we expect that in the Dracattus world that there's actually conflict in Palestine happening, or is that not going to be?
No, we do different things for real world. Like when we generate land plots, that's something that I don't think you realize, even that I don't think I've even told you about it, but we have like land plot assets and stuff now that are all gamified in it. And when we generate those, we do a whole bunch of analysis of the real world terrain, the architecture, the culture, the vegetation, the whole thing, and pull that all into when we generate the image to go with the land plot. So we do it in some areas, but not with the current news. Sorry, I'm not a current news kind of guy. I'm just going to kind of show you here. You see, this Drac is one that I own. You can see it's got the green dot, and then say
Zoom up a bit because it's a little hard to see if you can. Is it possible? Can you zoom up a bit? Zoom up on the map a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it could be my resolution. It's on my Mac might be a little high. The idea is this that you need to understand is the map is one thing, and then down here, the lower third, you can see my Dracattus over here on the left, and then the other one on the right. The idea is that this lower part becomes the battleground. This is where all the mini games go. So depending on what assets you select, how you interact with the map, which you'll see here in a minute even more, you could say, well, I want to battle my guy against two guys. And the system will give you the options that are available for mini games for that combination of assets set up. So you get options depending on what you're doing and who you're fighting, and whether it's an NPC character or a PvP other Drac. So you can kind of come in and say, well, I want to do a Drac race, and these NFTs will, just do a race game. Or you could do it, you can keep exploring the Drac world while you're playing mini games. So while your Drac is doing something on this lower third, you can be doing other things throughout the world. So there's a whole mini game system that the point is this lower part will facilitate. So the battle one, they shoot beams back and forth at each other, and they take energy hits and so on. And then the idea is that with Chia Gaming, we'll be able to have it so that you basically, it's like racing for pinks. You'll put your Drac up ahead of time and commit it as your bet, and the winner will take the spoils, or the Drac will die in a burn process, which is part of that custom Chia list that we have to talk about. So yeah, it's like a whole independent gaming system aside of what you're doing here. And we use Phaser.js right now, but I've started I'm always thinking about you and Unity, and every time I go into Phaser, I always remember you get into Unity. So I'm heavy into learning Unity to try to make some cool games in 3D, which we started doing with some of the spatial IO stuff that you can get into. So it's hard to answer the gaming thing because we're doing mini games, which will leverage the Chia stuff, but then we're doing quests and things as well. Like certain markers might have quests that are tied to them, and that will take you around the world, which will have you gathering assets, say like different cat tokens, or answering quizzes and puzzles about crypto knowledge. Kid focus.
Did you say that the Sage wallet's fully integrated at this point? So is it?
Oh yeah, man, it's really cool.
Tell me more about that. So obviously Sage has the ability to display NFTs. So Dracattus is using the NFT 1 standard. So presumably all the Drac NFTs were out of the box working, or was there anything that was a bug in there that didn't work right away?
Oh, that was just Angular integration, just getting it to integrate properly. It was more like providers and service type issues, more on my end, just not getting the code in there right. But now we actually have a really nice integration, a multi-integration like wallet system, so you can log in.
Wait, so are you scraping the Chia blockchain to actually display all these Dracs in the correct locations? Is that how that's working? Is this all like scraped out of the Chia blockchain?
Partly, it's a mixture of centralized and blockchain. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about how the data works. So there's stuff that's stored in the Drac that is specific to the character itself, and then
Yep.
position on the world map and all that, that's all centrally stored inside the Drac
Correct.
server.
Yep, correct. Yep. And so properties, values around its energy and so on, that's on chain. What there's needs to be like an upgrade process for Drac, right? So we have that. It's a whole nother conversation. But there's a process behind, you know, being semi-mutable in a sense, right? So we have to figure out what are the stats that are valuable to people or that make the asset have value from especially from a monetary standpoint. And then we have to make sure that that stuff goes on chain. But then things like the more gamified stuff, the position that needs to change often or whatever, we keep that on the central server. But we sync everything up, and there's all kinds of audit trails. So the whole backend database has an audit trail for everything to do with every single asset. Even if I look at the data, there's a trail for it, so that we can always match up, you know, what we're doing with what's happening on blockchain and stuff. There's quite a bit. It's a lot of data. So I had to. You've never seen this, Grant. To get my head around all of this stuff, I had to really get in and build an enormous database admin system for all the features. So to your point about assets and stuff, I had to kind of make, no, I want to take this part off because people shouldn't see that. I had to make an entire data system for analyzing my collection based on the location and stuff. So to the data point, there's an immense amount of wallet integration with Sage. You can see this is where we have all of our airdrop systems, our offer systems, minting new assets, our current gallery, whole bunch of things from a wallet perspective that, you know, are great, but we also have to be able to understand the data quite a bit and then run jobs and, you know, manage different assets like land and then the Drac assets themselves and all the different functions that go into the Isle of Seven Cities and the different quests that are tied to different assets. And then we put in chip 26 to monitor different stuff. And we built a crafting table, which has a whole bunch of settings and like Minecraft. I can't even explain to you how far I had to go on getting all this to you know, make sense. It's I don't know. I'm snowballing there a bit, but that's
there's a lot on the back end of a lot of systems, and your game is no different, especially given the complexity of it, and that there's lots of positions, and
yeah,
you've got a whole map and the minting. So yeah, these are different aspects of
and there's
when you're creating a game like.
There's a whole flight level system to like collecting cat tokens too. I took 31 cat resource tokens. If you want to think Age of Empires or something, you know, stone, brick, wheat, whatever. We made 31 as a way to have like in-game tokenomics for other features. So all these little green dots, say for example on my screen, these are just cat tokens that you can collect. Somebody's already collected that one. I can check this one. Somebody's already collected that one. Come over here, wait for them to load. Maybe this one. Nope, everybody's collecting. Here we go. So I can just claim this token, and there I've claimed that daily supply of that cat token that exists. I took 31 tokens, 20, I can't even remember the 30 something billion supply, and we spread them across 10,000 locations across the entire planet so that you can just basically go on a scavenger hunt collecting cat tokens. So you got to think with Drac, there's a level for everyone. So if you only hold your Drac and do nothing, you'll still get drip rewards. If you come into Drac and all you want to do is explore, you can collect. If you want to get into breeding, you can get into breeding and genetics and that whole system. You can get into battling. You can get into quests. There's a whole bunch. And with these markers, with collecting, you know this, Grant, everyone's always trying to game. So I had to think of clever ways to stop people from just going into the browser and siphoning the data and finding the locations and creating scripts and cheating the system. So even right down to the resource tokens you collect, there's a flight level system. So it only ever loads what is within your region and field of view on the map. And so I was able to force it that, you know, the green is the low hanging common fruit. But if I want to be able to find and just say brute force find super rare, I have to be at this level. And thus I would have to be crawling the entirety of the earth just to find. So it becomes imperative to follow the game clues that come out along with the lore and the story, so that you
Yeah,
can.
that was my next question, is like, oh, you probably don't want to just scrub through the entire planet, so you there are clues that lead you to the super rare tokens.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I put in the quest system. So if we go over to quests, I can at any point manually create a quest or use AI to generate a quest. You can see a bunch of my development tools, but like say we we can put in different, what's the biome and stuff. It will generate a quest, and then I can simply link that to any of the other items that I've made that are part of the story and the lore. So, a wishing well that we have, I could link it to the wishing well. And now that quest, if I go to that wishing well as a user, I'm actually not sure if it was this one. No, it wasn't. If I find that wishing well and I come across it, it'll show me in the context menu that there's a quest. And then I'll be able to do it and I'll get a reward at the end. It might be an NFT, it might be more resource tokens that you then take those resource tokens, those collectibles, which, like, say, for example, the wishing well, you can actually just go here and throw. Let me close this. It's in the way. You can just throw a coin in the wishing well, and on the back end with that, see, your wish is heard. I got a copper offering back randomly. That actually is the first time in probably a week that I've gotten anything.
Does that burn the token, or how does the spend actually happen? Did you have to
So
do something on the Chia blockchain for that to occur?
no, you just approve that spend. You throw a coin in. It'll eventually support cat tokens. You throw a coin in. We measure on the back end. We measure the estimated value of that token or that cat token that you put in, and then it goes into the algorithm that we use for selecting whether you're a winner or not, which is a whole nother beast in itself, because I built an N8N AI driven pit boss of sorts that basically takes the inputs and then looks at the rest of the data points of the game and then returns whether you're a winner or not, with the odds, being spread out and so on. So the point is that I can just throw a resource token I don't need in here, and I might get something back that I need. I might not. It's just a wishing well. It's just more lore for me to play with the mechanics of the blockchain and show people how, the different ways to use a simple transaction. All the transactions we do, minting, breeding, battling, every single function uses the same memo processing pattern system. So we just add in new, memo based opcodes, if you want to think of it that way, to handle all of the functions. So everything that we do here really comes down to just a coin spend, and then effective tracking on the other side, where then we might engage, say, Aceville's minting or some other function. But we use the wallet a lot because, like with this one, with Sage, you were asking about Sage integration, that was a game changer, because now I can do things like have Sage on the server go look at a particular wallet that we have that, say, has donations or community-based things or giveaways, and have it auto distribute based on the mechanics that I build into the wishing well. So it just becomes, the over engineering of that boils down to, somebody's like, oh, okay, cool, I can do this, sure, I'll throw that in, what's the result? And it's kind of meant to be, for me, an education in building blockchain stuff, but then also for the users, like, what does this all equate to? Same thing with Quest.
Go back to the AI part for a second. So I'm kind of curious about how you've got this working. So on the back end, do you have open AI, or do you have like some other kind of AI that's actually processing the memo, or is AI just writing code and then there's code in the background that's doing stuff? Like, I'm kind of curious about this. Does it have
So
any?
I'm using an N8N servers hosted on the same system as the Drac server, and I send different data points depending on what the interaction is back to that, where there's a controlling, orchestrating AI, and underneath that there's many agents. Some agents are engineered to be good at rolling dice, some are for cards, some are for number randomizing or whatever. I've just basically set up these little mini agents that are specific built for different kind of game mechanics, and then I use the N8N orchestrating agent just to source out what it needs to drive back the answer to the game mechanic that I'm calling from Drac. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty fun AI project, regardless. So it's
Well, I'm gonna pull it
integrated.
up. I'll pull it up on my screen here. Is it hard for me to switch screens that I'm showing? One sec. I'll switch my screen because yeah, it is kind of interesting. I called it Pit Boss because it was originally I was thinking about casino type games, but here, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I just have to click a button, but okay.
Yeah. So Pit Boss, for example, was the beginning of it. So you've got a Pit Boss and you've got a dice roller, you've got a coin flipper, you've got one specific for blackjack, say. So we take that up to Drac, and now I have a Drac agent that has tooling. And if you connect all that using NAN, then you end up with an AI that can drive gaming decisions for the platform.
That's
Which I thought was
pretty cool. I mean, like I said, the amount of ancillary work that's gone into Drac, it seems like no matter what, there's cool tech being integrated into the project every day.
Well, I haven't even like. Did you ever play Minecraft?
Sure, yeah.
I wasn't really a huge Minecraft person, but I played a little bit. But I don't know if you can see on my screen there now. This is another thing you haven't seen at all. This is the crafting table where those resource tokens, those green dots, and all those rare ones that I was talking about. You can see here which ones I have and haven't collected. These are actual resource tokens. These are even the minutes tokens from the Tank Talk project, which we put in as a little Easter egg of if you've got extra time, right? You can throw time into your recipe and that will add all these little extra things that you can craft. But the point of this is you can come right in here and make a recipe that or you can get from the recipe book. And it will generate a new NFT based on that. And this isn't fully functional. I was hoping to get it done for today. I might yet still by this afternoon, but it's just like 3 days ago, Acefail did an update to dynamic minting for me so that you could pay with multiple cat tokens, like variations, so that I could say 2 Sungroves, 1 Thornwood, and a number plus 0.01 XCH. And I can make this kind of payment structure that so there's your wooden planks that generate back. So I would craft that, and the charge would be to pay with these 3 plus the XCH to cover the mint cost, and you would get this NFT minted direct to your wallet and airdropped. And these would end up back in our supply, where we could either burn them or redistribute them back through those resource points on the map, so that we have this kind of circular use case economy of all these tokens that we made.
Pretty wild. I mean, that's fun to see all this Chia ecosystem and mechanics coming into play in a real world gaming system. It's exciting stuff for sure.
Yeah, the breeding stuff is really cool because that uses lucky 8s. This minting stuff uses Acefail stuff. We plan to bring in Monkey Zoo's Fusion Zoo technology at some point because it's pretty obvious to me that Drax will evolve and you should be able to get armor and add all these different features. We have lore everywhere you look. There's so many different things that you can, I don't know if maybe there's a quest here. No. So like the mechanics have really come together with the Sagewell. I'm going to show you the bloodline stuff here in a second and the land parcels, but just to kind of show you real quick some kind of future forward stuff. Part of with Drac, you can imagine is like if I'm on a map and I have all my assets and there's somebody nearby me, like I have this one and I want this Drac for some reason. For whatever my intention is, I want this Drac and I want to be able to trade it for something. It's really difficult. That's one of the things with Chia that's difficult is the peer-to-peer trading has to be done in certain ways, to be able to kind of convey, hey, I want to trade you for this. There's no real set it and forget it trade offer system. And I really wanted that for Drac. So currently in the mix, in the works, probably 3/4 of the way is this trade offer system. So I could literally just, grab one of my NFTs and say, I want to trade this, or I want to grab that NFT from the collection. That's from the total collection. And I can add one of my NFTs from my collection that I'm willing to trade for. And I'm able to save that. It'll show me which. I can put in a description to the other user, and I can say, I agree that this is the trade that I want to make, right? This might not work. I'm not sure if this feature's So,
Well, now hold on a minute. Now I'm a little surprised here because isn't a trade 1-for-1? Isn't that just an offer file? I mean,
yeah, that's what this ends up being. Exactly.
yeah, okay.
So,
All right.
so basically, because I put push notifications and this whole platform that I've got on the back end uses real time like pub sub updates, I can do some really cool stuff as far as passing offer strings. So what I got thinking about one day was, so really what it comes down to, it doesn't matter which person in the offer makes the offer. It doesn't matter because either way, it's valid going either way as long as both people ultimately end up agreeing. So what I realized was I'll just create a pseudo system in between that is essentially a messaging system. Hey, I want to give you this for this. You cool? No. How about this for this? That cool? No. And eventually you saw that little signature where somebody says, I agree to this. That kicks back to the other user who then knows and can click make an offer, and that offer string gets sent back because they both essentially come to agreement. Whether somebody disagrees last second and goes no, and that's the wonderful thing of Chia and peer-to-peer. But ultimately, we can just pass the message back, structure or broker the deal from just a tooling, let these two people talk, and I can assign these offers to the unique ID of the NFT. So even if there was an offer and I sold it, the next person getting the NFT would be able to have access to see at least that person was wanting to trade with them. And then, you know what I mean? They could go back and make a new offer with them and do the whole. So that's where we're headed with like making it really easy to trade and start to think about, well, yeah, I do want my Dracs all clustered. I am going after this resource, say, because what happens with these resources that don't get claimed, like you can see this one's not claimed. At the end of the day, the system will go and look at each one that's not been claimed, and then within a certain radius, look at all the Dracs that are in that radius and assign a value of the leftover to each of them depending on their distance to the marker. And then you will get that as a daily distribution just for holding your Drac. So the early bird.
I'm kind of curious about all the Chia stuff that you've done. So you said you worked with Ace Fails tooling. You did some stuff with Lucky 8. You've integrated Sage. How has that process been, like, as far as integrating all these tools? Does it feel like Chia is a pretty multi-purpose Swiss Army knife of getting things done that you need done, and you've been able to kind of do this through pattern composition? Or do you feel like there really is some novel Chia list that's needed to achieve what you're doing? Like, I'm curious about your sentiment on programming in Chia generally.
So most of my work's not in Chia List. I think where we will be doing things that others aren't might be, although Mr. Dennis might get there first, but I think the new stuff for us will be the Chia List that we have to do for the way that we want to do our mini games. I think we're going to end up having to, depending on what the mini game is and the conditions, like we'll have to keep revisiting Chia Lisp and Chia Gaming, which I'm excited for myself because I haven't gone down that road yet. I keep wanting to. So I think it's going to be time for me to start learning that Chia Lisp a little
more. But for the rest of it, it pretty much just worked, and you were able to do what you wanted to do without
offer files. I mean, like, it's freaking offer files and transactions and memo opcodes and really, really, really well thought out and tracked planning. It's amazing the difference to like EVM. I would never attempt this on EVM. I just wouldn't even. Like, I wouldn't even. Why bother? Why put all this work into something that could get rugged or could get, hacked or whatever, let's say, for the worst case scenario, but then also the strict hard limits on you have to do this. Like, Chia gives me flexibility to dream up and go, yeah, okay, well, I'll just use an offer file for this, and then I'll do this over here. It's not so much patchwork, but it's the coordination of a whole bunch of creative primitives that if you put together in a really organized way on this system like I have running, then yeah, it's not.
That was the thing that struck me about programming on Chia and what its capabilities and possibilities are, is that you can program this stuff and you can create on Chia through composition because the primitives are so powerful. You have these building blocks. And so as someone who wants to create something, when you need to do something, you're like, oh, I can reach for this and I can achieve my goal by doing this thing that's just pretty accessible, and I don't have to invent new stuff. I just have to
Exactly.
compose the primitives that have already existed. And I think you're right as far as with the introduction of Chia gaming, there's now this element of there's another piece of composition that can be used anytime you want to coordinate between two parties that are trying to, collectively come to some output result. And in a game there's a winner, but you could conceive of, cooperative style things that you might
Yep.
do where you're passing something back and forth, and you two are, coordinating between the two of you to try and achieve an end result goal. So I've always thought that Chia was really powerful in this sense, is that you never really had to invent stuff until you got down very, very deep into the weeds and you're trying to do something that nobody's ever done before. And then maybe after you do that and you make it known to the world, then the whole ecosystem is enriched by that new thing that's been created.
Precisely. That's why I talk a lot about Drax. It's kind of grown out to be a presentation layer of a whole bunch of tech from the community, which I'm really excited to deliver it that way. But yeah, whether it's Lucky 8 or Rigidity or whoever, it just, I'm composing, which is where I like to sit, Grant. I'm not down at that code level. I kind of relate to, say, Josh a little bit, in that I like to sit at that API composition level. I like to get my hands dirty a little bit with, the deeper code, but Chia just lets me be creative and code at the same time, and it gets out of the way a little bit because, like you said, the primitives are so strong. You just have to. I think that's where Drax's strength is from day one, is that I put it to such a heavy lore, and so I have the creative ability to go, oh, I can't use that mechanic this way, but if I spin the lore this way, it makes more sense and supports it, so that I can do the mechanic that I ultimately want to do, right? So, yeah.
So we've got a few more minutes to continue the conversation. What's the next few weeks, months, quarters of Drac looking like? Are you coming to some big point where it's going to be the unveil, the launch, something like that is getting
there will be at some point. I think Beautiful Corner is what I've been working on and getting prepped to have this, kind of beautiful corner slice of the game. But I think 2026, my goal is heavily like some sort of indie studio, take this to full production. But I mean, I say that, but it's also a never ending project. Like, we haven't even talked about the geocaching, right? And I've showed you that before, the 3D buildings. You can get right down into New York at street level with the buildings around you. And I someday see my kids and I out playing geocache games on Drac. So some big release date, public, yes, absolutely. And that, I would say, is within the next 6 months, if not shorter than that. I'm kind of being long on that a little bit, because I don't think Chia Gaming is that far off, and the work that I've been doing with it, I'm getting more comfortable with it. And that's really the biggest part from the tokenomics standpoint, is having that sync, which is, you taught me and helped me out with a lot. And I think that's really important. So that's kind of a big feature we got to have in to really be at any point where we could say, let's launch this now with live tokenomics. But being the state that it's at now, I'm really happy with where it is. We've got a lot of mechanics to play with. There's a lot of things for people to learn, and myself included. So I think you'll see the release candidate happen 4 months, 3-4 months if I'm being aggressive, 6 months if I'm being passive about it and being loose about it. So say the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to see a really big official release of Drac, where this is like a 3-month or 3-year anniversary. Let's roll out all the really cool features and stuff that we've been working on. So
I might be commensurate with Permuto launching, so that could be a really exciting time. I'm still targeting Q2 2026 as the launch of Permuto. I'm hopeful, if the government gets reopened, maybe we'll see both in Q2 of 2026.
For sure. There's let me just show you real quick. There's a couple other things for people who want to learn the game. There is an entire field guide that you can get to in the menu, which teaches you all about the game mechanics, the assets, the regions, all of it. And then Grant, I wanted to go to the mint page because this is new. This is a new way that we're doing a whole bunch of minting, and this is how you get your assets, and it kind of makes sense here a little more. So when I set out to do a new mint, I really want it to be dynamic and creative, like all the rest of Drac. So like I didn't even mean that to happen. The schedule kicked in. This is on a timer that is tied to actual celestial events. So you can't breed a primal unless you're in the right place at the right time. So that leaves people that have just the biggest bag from buying up. They can't get them. So that I'm actually just surprised to see that because I forgot about that.
Well, hey, no, do it live, man. Show us the primal bloodline. If this is some celestial event, come on, show us.
Well, it's just a regular mint, but yeah, let me go through and show you the minting stuff here. So you can pick a regular or a bloodline, a primal, which this is like purebred versus mixed up traits. So crazy mixed up traits like a regular NFT versus a unified design. My volcano Drac, everything looks volcano, or my winter Drac, everything. And that's because if you bred a purebred with a non-purebred, you can influence genetics, which I still have to show you, and I really want to show you because it's one of the coolest parts of Drac. So you pick, I want a primal because I happen to show up at the right time. When you get in here, you can also name it. So I could say Drac Junior, say. That's a 0.25 extra, upsell. And then you can actually go and say, well, I want to intentionally position my new Drac around some resource that I know that I found that nobody else knows about, right? These tokens that I was saying you could collect. So you might want to say, it was right here. Okay, I'm gonna get my Drac. So I'll get maximum rewards from that resource token, provided nobody gets to it first, and so on. So you can pick all of these features. And then when you're done, it kind of summarizes it all for you. Do I have 3.6? Nice. We're going to mint. So
complete the awakening.
Complete the awakening. Exactly. So you can see everything that it's going to do. I'm going to have a Drac Junior. And it validates those names too, so that it doesn't exist. This is part of why we have the central server for quick look. So I built a store. So you actually, that just queues it up to the store. And then I can continue shopping. I can come down and go and say, well, I want to breed 2 of my Dracs in the process as well. Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's gonna be slow for me. And go in, you can name it, you can do all this different stuff. Sure, we'll breed that for 0.5. Oh wait, I want to add it to the cart. My bad. Add it to the cart. Then there's land parcels, which is a whole nother thing where you can go in and see the land parcel, do the research, find out about what resources are in it. There's deeding to this, Grant. If those marker resources are in your territory, nobody can claim that one. So you end up, whoop, we got glitchies. We got a glitch. Let me reset. So when resource markers are within region and land that you own, nobody can just roll up and take it. So that's a benefit and a reason to buy different land, which you can see some people have bought. We got little sold signs. So the different land, this is where I was saying we use AI to look at the different landscape, where it is geographically, the influence of the lore and so on. So you queue all that up. And you're like, shit, I got myself sorry, I didn't mean to swear there. I got myself oh, I didn't because I went back. Oh no. Showing a glitch. Showing some, let me go do this again, Drac Junior. We'll keep it simple. So you got the point. We did a point on the Earth. It's in North America. I've added it. It's in our cart, and we can just hit mint, and off we go.
And that's that actually submitted to the Chia blockchain, and we're waiting for it to confirm.
Yep. That Drac will be here soon. It'll be a primal, and it'll have extra boost settings. It gives you extra 10 to 25% increase on the algorithms that go into like calculating anything that happens with your Drac. When you have a primal, they get a little boost periodically in different algorithms that we're using for scoring and stuff. And like I said, you can do the breeding's the same way. Remember earlier when I mentioned the mechanic, we just do a coin spend with a really clever like opcode set up in the memo. Every one of our mint features, all of the interactions same thing. Even when you do questing and you end up on a quest and you get to one of like its waypoints, to confirm that you did the waypoint, you send a 1Mojo transaction, which then syncs up with chip 26 doing the event notification for receiving that. And when we receive it, then we mark your objective as complete and you get the hint for the next objective on the quest. So everything that we're doing is really based around coin spins and chip 26. I hired Rigidity to do a quick kind of chip 26 setup for us. And that's how we ended up with, let me go to the.
Did you get your primal yet?
Oh, I don't think that's it yet. Mintguard's a little.
Chia can be fast if you get right on a transaction block, and then sometimes you get a little unlucky. You can take a little longer.
It'll be here soon. Anyway, there's just all of those features, man. I did a zoom on my screen. How did I double tapped or triple tapped something? What's going on here? Oh, my browser's going weird. One sec. My browser. Okay, coming back. I think this is the one. Yep. Sorry about that. My browser went all weird and zoomed up. I couldn't look at it right. Anyway, so your token distribution. Oh, we were over minting. Yeah, and the land. There's an upgrade system for. I mean, I have it turned off right now, but it detects all my Dracs. Tells me the 14 are on the current version that I need to upgrade 99 because I put a version control system in. There's also a bug reporting system. So when you find bugs, you submit them based on what type of bug. You get points. Those points show up here in the top right, and then you can turn those in later and cash them in for resource tokens that you might need or haven't found and you need for that recipe that you want to use in the crafting table. So when you take all of that stuff from land, resources, assets, breeding, battling, the story, the lore, all the way down to ideally someday in 2026, we'll be right down to this level where where's the good old downtown core, New York? We'll be right down to here where, you're 3D panning around this.
And at some point you'll walk up to a building and be able to claim a token right off a building.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that I want to do with this, but you got to, they're lofty goals, man. It's not that they're impossible, but they just take a lot of resources and time and code and doing things, not in a rush. There's a lot of mechanics here, as you can see. So one thing out of alignment can really have like a massive snowballing effect, especially when you're talking like tokenomics or, making sure that all the stats and everything are in sync and fair. And so I'm doing everything I can. We even put this is a magic mirror feature. Hi, everyone. I put TensorFlow.js in the browser and use it to analyze my face. And it takes all of the measurements, 173 data points off my face, compiles it into a structured JSON input and sends it to ChatGPT, edit image 1 model with a reference image of the Dracattus illustrative artwork, and then spits you back as an NPC character that you can mint yourself into the game. With the long-term goal of being that your friends could battle your character and they will wager against your character using Chia Gaming, and you as the NPC will get a portion of the reward. So that'll be like a limited feature where people can literally put themselves into the game, and then they are an automated NPC, but they earn rewards from it.
Oh, that's super fun.
Yeah, it's going to come. GPT's slow. I can't really do anything about this, but you'll see in a second here, it's going to come back with what my NPC character would look like. And it kind of does it random. Like you might be a mage, you might be a witch, you might be
This was kind of like how everybody was making themselves the Studio Ghibli characters. So this is the Ghiblify, Dracify your own face.
Essentially, yeah. And this is when I saw Josh do the gopher stuff. It was so there, I'm not going to mint that because I don't like flowers on my head. Nice. But the idea is that this would then, when you submit and mint, the AI, all those AI systems that I have, writes a story, and so you end up being like any other marker on the map, where you would have, say, some sort of literature to your character, and people would be able to decide whether they want to battle your NPC or not.
Well, I have to say, Jeff, there's a tremendous amount of stuff here. We're running out of time, and thanks for giving us the whirlwind tour of everything that you've added. I mean, it's come so far since the last time I saw it, and so much you've integrated of AI in really sensible ways too. I mean, I've heard there's AI that's going to be in gaming. It's cool to see your vision for how things can work, from getting little characters into there to generating backgrounds in an appropriate way. Like it just seems like some pretty novel uses of AI. Pretty powerful stuff. Really cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to do everything intentfully, not just to do it. Right. I'm trying to make sure that everything has a purpose and, a deep rooted part of the lore. I really want Drac to be, the embodiment of that word shandification or shandify. It's something I learned last year or the year before. Lucas, you know what I'm talking about when we were throwing that word around a lot. I want you to kind of never have endless amounts of things to do, no matter where you turn. Right. And then I want it to be all the community-based tooling and events and stuff like that. So you'll see more. You'll see a lot more in the way of characters soon. Right now you just see Drac assets. You will see I know you got to go here, so I'll close up, but you will see lots of things like that's a bad example. Let me do this if you're still looking at my screen. I just want to show you what the characters end up being like. So this is my development version, but I make characters that become part of the story, and they'll be based around my friends. So again, people I know in the space, like yourself, there'll be a Grant in the space. Here's some examples of some. So like one I did of my mother, myself, my father, my best buddy Fox, the ex-wife, the crazy one. I'll leave that off the screen for now. That's my humor. But these become characters tied to geopoints, and they're of people in the space. So this is my development version. This isn't. I haven't put this data on the production one, but this is, like this week sometime I'm going to start doing that. You will see people in the space become characters within Drac. So I just wanted to make sure I showed that too, because it's kind of a interesting part.
All right. Well, when you've got the next big update, please come back and show us. We absolutely love this. I'm super excited. This is such a powerful application of the Chia blockchain ecosystem. Love seeing all the tool integrations, all the AI. This is super cool, man. Really appreciate you coming to show us.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time on FOMO.
All right, buddy.